Hey witches, Jenny Love the Rogue Witch from Broom Book and Candle. I'm in the car. It seemed like killing two birds with one stone. I am in the car a lot. I do a lot of my best thinking in the car. So I thought I would take a page out of Athena Beth Black's playbook and the fabulous Oceana's playbook and do some videos while I'm in the car. This is a video response to the Autumnchick and her past lives video. I do believe in past lives. I have a lot of thoughts on past lives because I don't have any personal memories or experiences with past lives. I have a friend who does past life regression, and I haven't yet done that. I haven't had time. So I'm interested in doing that. I did have one group past life meditation once, and it was funny because I really wanted to see me being a witch in a past life, and I did not see me being a witch, but I did see me as a shaman, which I thought was sort of interesting since I'm a Reiki master and a healer. I thought that was interesting. My Reiki guide also looks like a shaman. When I had done my final Reiki, when I got my master, and we did a meditation to find your Reiki guides, and he does look like a shaman, very ancient. I get this impression of sort of before written records of anything. Yeah, so anyway. But I do believe in past lives. I have sort of a weird paradox or conflict when it comes to past lives. While I believe in spirits and ancestors, and I also believe that there is something contacting us, and people often think it's their dead Aunt Rose or their grandma. If we believe in past lives and these people come back, what's contacting us? Is it the memory or the spirit of this life? If my Mima, who passed away a few years ago, I feel she sends me signs. So if I feel that you come back, what's sending me the signs? So that's my first sort of conflict with the reincarnation and your spirits, your ancestral spirits that sort of contact you. I guess I sort of feel like it's the spirit of this life, but their eternal soul sort of comes back. Anyway, that's my theory on that somewhat. Although, obviously, I have no experience with it, and personally, I don't remember a past life. So I'm sort of open to what other people think, suggestions or, thoughts on it. I'm fascinated by the subject. I'm fascinated by kids that had past life experiences, could recall things. There was a show on television called The Ghost in My Child, and my husband and I, Mr. Rogue Witch, watched it when it was on. I was riveted because my son had past life memories when he was smaller, and I learned a lot from this show. It explained a lot of things to me that I didn't know. He was really small before he could walk. and he didn't have much language for things. And we were in the kitchen. He was in his high chair, and he said something like, when I died before. When I died before? You know, Mommy, when I died before. I sat down. What's that? And asked him to explain what he meant. And he was, as a matter of fact, like everybody, like this was fact. This happens to everybody. You know, when I lived before, and I said, oh, can you tell me about that? And again, he didn't have words for certain things, so it was a little hard to explain. He said at the time when he first told me about it, it was very green. He had since elaborated on it, and I got a little more information when he had a little more language about it, because we would discuss it from time to time when it came up. So when he first told me about it, he explained that it was very green, lots of hills. I asked him, did he wear, you know, we all romanticize about past lives and, you know, the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur's court in medieval times. And so I was asking him, you know, did you wear armor like a knight? And he said no. He said we wore the animals. So I assumed that meant like pelts. And I asked him, did you have any weapons? And he said that he had a sword and that his shield was made of wood. I asked him what the houses looked like. I said, did you live in a castle? He said no. The houses were made of the dirt, he said, and that the grass was on the roofs. And then I said, were there dragons? And he said, no, Mommy, there's no such thing as dragons. I was like, of course not. And that he died in a battle. So this was fascinating to me. I was railroad tracks. This was fascinating to me. I was riveted. I got more information as it went on when he got older. And he did always say things like, when I was in the stars. He was sure that he picked me. You know, when I was, and it was so a matter of fact, you know, when I was in the stars. Yeah, I picked you. Like, he picked me as his mother. And I used to think it was sort of sweet. And I have heard other accounts of this exact phenomenon. So when I watched the show, The Ghost in My Child, it explained a lot of quirks that my son had that couldn't be explained, like his obsession with time. There was another child on that, or maybe two of them, that had this sort of obsession with time. And it's fascinating to me because my son, if all of the clocks in the house didn't match, he couldn't function. If you said 5 minutes, you better have meant 5 minutes. If you said in a minute, it was in a minute. There wasn't an exaggeration of time that you couldn't. And I think it was because at some point you have no time is not, it's irrelevant. If you have sort of a memory of being in the stars and you have a memory of another time is sort of irrelevant to you. So I think trying to grasp the concept of time in this life was exhausting to him and other children that have had past lives. And the other, he always seemed like an old soul. He always seemed wiser. He didn't quite ever fit in with other children. He didn't talk about it much. If I brought it up, he talked about it like, you know, it was just something that everybody had happen. And then at around 8 or so, it was now almost like a story that had gotten told, which I also found out on the television show, The Ghost in My Child, that these children at some point, although they remembered talking about it, they didn't have that internal, it wasn't an internal memory anymore. It was almost like they really connected with their time here. So, although I always had a position on past lives, you know, sometimes the evidence is irrefutable. When these children say a name or a place that they've never been, I mean, how does that happen? It's fascinating. And when it happens to your own kid who's that sure, it's not a memory, it's not a regression. I mean, he sat there telling me, you know, when I lived before. It was crazy to me, crazy. So that's my past life experience, even though it's not really my experience. It's pretty close to me. My little man, who I've always believed to be an old soul. He's been here before, for sure. I always said that. And here's where it helps me. As a tarot card reader, an intuitive tarot card reader, when I have someone across the table from me, that's happened more than once, when their concern is their child, and they explain to me that they have certain issues with their child. Like my son, when he was younger, did have anxiety, an unnatural sort of anxiety over things that you couldn't really explain. He worried about things he just shouldn't worry about, and their obsession with time and their need for a routine. And while it seems OCD-ish, it wasn't. There was something different about it. It was like he was just trying to find his way here. He was out of sorts. And I know when these people come to me for a reading and they're talking about their child in this manner, I explain to them they've been here before. They're trying to get a grasp on this life. They are still connected to their old life. And when I explain this to parents, it makes complete sense. And there's relief. I explain my son is beyond it now. He doesn't really talk about it anymore. Time really isn't an issue for him anymore. He's learned to be sarcastic, not so literal. And he doesn't worry about things as much as he used to. He's really fitting in now. Friends, social. So that's what you can do for your kids if you feel like your kids have had past lives, is to sort of understand they're just trying to find their way. Structure is important to them. It's security to them. It's a secure feeling to them when things are always the same, and you just reassure them. They have a hard time. So that's my experience on past lives. I find it fascinating and riveting. So thanks to the Autumnchick for her subject matter. I find this fascinating. I hope other people do video responses about their feelings about past lives, their experience with past lives. I think it's riveting. So this is Jenny Love, the Rogue Witch from Broom Book and Candle, and you guys go get your witch on. Bye.